Yeah, close the door and leave.
He's kind of shy, Mike.
Very shy.
He's kind of shy.
Wow. Just so proud of my kids. They continue to amaze me. I thought the final game was very appropriate. The way the game starts. And Shelley and Haley run into each other, drop the ball. Sit there and do. That's kind of remind you that those kids are that young. And that we do really some goofy things at times. And then to just watch that team get each other's back throughout the game. And like we talked about, you know, if you'd have said coming into the regional that Elkins had to carry us, and then know going into that final game that she would still be without a hit. And to see all those other kids step up and contribute, not the least of which was Kendall Smith making a dive and catch in game 2, or Gabby Phelps coming to the plate and getting the big RBI, or Christina Hamilton again not really throwing one curveball and baffling their hitters. It just has been phenomenal. That the strength of this team is the fact that they all do it collectively. They all do it because of each other and for each other. They love each other, they fight for each other, they believe in each other. And then the fan base, how incredible were our fans to stand behind this team and believe in them. It's really taken the contributions of so many people to bring us to this moment. This weekend is going to be, again, another challenge. I think it's going to be another learning and growing experience for us. It'll be a first in our program to host the Supers. I'm excited for the university and for this program. And it's just another step in really what we try to do here in this program. So I'm really proud of the kids, the fan base, and looking forward to this weekend.
Where would you rank this upcoming weekend as far as the stage? First Super Regional in Lafayette history. You're facing one of college softball's blue bloods with a ticket to Oklahoma City instead. Where would you rank all this with all that kind of taken into account?
Rank it in terms of
the importance of it as far as with the program, with history.
You know, I was talking about this earlier in the day, that everybody wants to kind of take a team or take a year or take a kid and then just put a label on it. And for instance, if this team falls on its face this weekend, they're still a phenomenal team forever. If this team gets to the World Series and this team doesn't get to the World Series, how do you balance that and make sense of it? I'm smart enough to know that the RPI system and structure changed last year. So you say, well, this is the first team to host a Super Regional. This is the first team to have the opportunity to do it under the modified system. There have been some special teams in this program's history, and I don't think this one gets elevated above one or has to be below one. I think this team can be judged and be appreciated for not any accomplishment on the field, but just how they faced the challenges that were put in front of them. And I think when we look back and we think about this team, that people are going to appreciate what I was trying to allude to earlier when I was talking, is the fact that they did it collectively as a group, by loving each other, by caring for each other, by picking each other up. Even I forgot some kids, you know, Corbello has struggled here immensely, and she gets the walk-off walk. But it wasn't just the fact that she got the walk, it was that kid was locked into that event. I mean, she knew exactly what was going down. Kelsey Vincent has struggled since she's had the knee injury. And everybody asked me why I get so excited when she hit that 3-run bomb. I wasn't excited for anything, any repercussions in the game. It was the fact that I knew how hard that kid had struggled. And I knew how hard she had worked to come out of it. And I knew how badly she wanted to contribute and be a part of this. And when the game allows something like that to happen, man, you gotta get excited for a kid like that. So, I'm more about these kids right now and really enjoying what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I'll let y'all argue all that stuff. I think this is a great team. But if I also, like, for a second pause and even think back to last year's team, or the team before that, or the team that Coach Steph played on, where I'm out there watching her play, or some of those teams in the early '90s. I mean, we've had some good teams in this program's history. Everybody wants to talk about Arizona and how storied their program is. This program's been pretty storied too, and what we've been able to do and accomplish here, to me, has been phenomenal.
Coach, how much does home field advantage help with 14 out of the 16 seeds advancing to the Super Regional?
I don't know about the other venues, but it was huge here. And the atmosphere was electric. It was good to sleep in my own bed, and it was good to stay on our routine. I think our kids play good at home. I think our fan base has been phenomenal. The roar that comes from that crowd when something good happens, it gives you goosebumps. It's crazy.
Can you see it affecting the other team?
I don't know. You know, I don't think as much that way. I never thought about that. I know we've been on the road, because we always have been, that it doesn't affect how we approach the game. I mean, last year we were at Michigan with the bad plan and the big crowd, and I didn't think it affected how we played or how we approached the game. I think the advantage is more just feeling comfortable in front of your home base. I think our fans are phenomenal, I really do. Season ticket sales went up before the season started. There weren't no people jumping on the bandwagon here. Season ticket sales went up before the season ever started, knowing that this was going to be a rebuilding year. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. That's what this community has been about, and supporting this program.
Coach, with all you just said about the team, do you feel like you still have to play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, even though you're the better seed with regards to numbers? Is there a little chip still on the shoulder to the national? I know softball people know who you are. To the outsiders that don't really know that this program is such a historic program.
Most definitely. I mean, first of all, I'm a chip on the shoulder kind of guy, you know what I mean? And the way that the national media is billing all this stuff, got 5 SEC teams and 4 from the Pac-10 and 2 from the there, and it's all about these big schools, and that doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me, especially in the context of gender equity, that the opportunities for female athletes across the board are happening at the mid-majors, the D2s, the D3s, the JUCOs. The reason why our sport has exploded is because all of these kids and all of the opportunities have opened up for these kids at the smaller programs. The SEC has just come on to softball lately, and they get to dominate the conversation. Arizona, on the other hand, I mean, and the Pac-12 and what they've done has been around forever. But when they were doing it, it was them by themselves. Nobody cared about softball. The World Series wasn't a national event. Really, to me, when our sport has just bursted onto the scenes is when you started seeing all these programs bring softball, start sponsoring softball, start funding the programs. And to me, I think at UL, at our university, the fact that we have carried the banner really for, I guess, the schools outside the BCS conferences, I think we ought to celebrate that. I know in the past when some of those schools have an opportunity to go, I celebrate it because in my judgment, it opens the opportunity, opens the doors for all those other schools and to have a chance, and more importantly, for all those other kids to believe in their dream, that their dream is possible.
Coach, obviously you guys, you mentioned that Christina didn't throw a curve at all in the second game, and Texas coach mentioned that, said they felt coming out of that first game that, you know, that they matched left-handed, with their left-handed hitters, they matched up, and
Right.
She had a lot of compliments for Christina. She mentioned the same thing, that she, you know, obviously she didn't throw a curve in that second game, but she called her a game deceptive and said that she was able to pitch to all zones effectively, and said that she just doesn't get rattled. And what would you say about Christina?
I really thought that this has been her finest performance, and not just the championship game, but the winners bracket game. I thought that both of those games, that she stayed within herself, that she executed the plan. It's very mature for her to, when you get in an uncomfortable situation, you want to throw things that you feel confident in. And when she struggled, she didn't go back to it. She trusted the plan. She took a deep breath. She stayed within herself. I just thought she showed tremendous poise, tremendous confidence. Her execution was really phenomenal. Really good stuff, man. Very, so proud of that kid. Proud of how she's grown up. Proud of how she's competed. She keeps getting better every weekend.
With both you guys and Arizona having such big power numbers, kind of piggybacking off of that, how big will Christina's performance be this weekend and try to neutralize what Arizona does well?
We started looking at Arizona. Obviously, I've watched them all year. Started to put the scout report together on them and their hitters. Obviously, they have a very good lineup 1 through 9. That's their strength. I think she's going to be able to do some good things against them. She's going to have to show the same kind of poise. We're going to go to work when we leave here, on putting the game plan in, and I think the kid's going to execute it, and if she doesn't, I think she's going to trust in it, and we'll adjust as we go. It is a greater challenge this weekend than last. every weekend it seems like the ante is going to go up.
Coach, is this going to be a little fun? You actually, I know you and Coach Mike are good friends, but you get him here, and you get a chance to play him here as competitors out there in that field in a super regional, because you got him here before visiting. But have you guys had a chance to talk yet, or?
Coach Quintana has done so much for the sport, and not only as a coach in Arizona, but our Olympic coach, and really the work that he's done around the country to do clinics and camps and just to continue to try to promote the sport and national championships. And he is a good friend of mine. I respect Mike immensely, and he's been a good friend to me. But it's almost ironic that they sit him here, and he's been in a situation the last 3 or 4 years in Arizona where it's win the national championship or not. I mean, that's the only measure there. They have to win the championship or not. And if he was standing up here, he'd probably say the same thing. So I think he has become maybe a victim of what he's built. That when you have a down year and you end up in a regional or a super regional, you're still getting criticized because you didn't win a national championship. And hopefully, as he gets here and this is our, 5th super regional in the last 7 years, and the last 3 in a row. When you start having that measure of success, instead of people like expecting it, or again, like we were talking about earlier, just starting to label whether it's a success or not based on where you finish up or how you do in your last game, you can look at a guy like that who is starting to understand that the parity in softball has changed, and the fact that this sport has become more spread out across the country. And I know in my conversations with him and the times that I'm around him, that's what he and I talk about. How the sport has gotten tougher, and there's more parity, and more schools putting resources into our sport. And as a coach, you still keep grinding it out, but you're not going to have those special years every year. It doesn't happen like that anymore. Like softball's got to become more like the other sports, where if you can win a national championship once every 10 years, that's a good thing. You don't get criticized for that. If you go to super regionals every 4 or 5 years, it's a good thing. It's because the sport has changed, in my judgment. And being around Mike, and especially the last 3 or 4 years, that's what I guess we're all are grappling with in our sport. Like, we're watching some of that transformation happen.
This weekend, you see it as strictly a power game between you and Arizona, or do you think it can turn out to be something else?
I thought, from what I've seen right now, that I thought Corbello from LSU at times was very effective against their hitters. But you look at a lot of their losses, especially in the Pac-12, and it is 9-7, 12-10. I mean, if you assume right off the bat that they're going to score 7 to 10 runs a game, then it better be power for us too. I think if we get in a situation where you have to outscore them, that's not good for us. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier with Christina. I think Christina is going to have to be effective against their hitters, and I think she can be.
Mike, no graduation, no Cajun baseball, last chance to see your team at home.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a tough ticket, don't you think?
I hope so. Cajun baseball, you know, and I said it off the record, but what Coach Robichaud has been able to do with that program, and not just this year, right? Again, we just talked about that with Coach Kendra, is like 2 years ago they want to run you out of town, and then now you're the greatest coach in the world. And what people don't understand is who that guy is and how he takes care of his business every day and what he stands for. And good for him that he understands the challenges in our sport, and just because he's winning, he don't need a pat on the back. It's how he takes care of his business, even when he wasn't winning. That makes me know he's a winner and he's a champion. On the ticket for this weekend, I think it's going to be one of the best attended super regionals in the country. Our fans came out for the regional. I think the final number was over 10,000. Our fans came out for the conference tournament. Every year we have the best attended conference tournament. Our fans don't just come and sit on their hands. They're vocal, they're cheering, they're dancing. I love our fans. They've been so good to me. They've been so good to our program. They've been so good to our kids.
More questions?
One more, Coach. Are we closer to playing 3 games in 3 days or no?
I think we are. You know, I think so, and it's the right thing to do. And
Does that, ahead of time, does that potentially, in this matchup, how could it, the fact that we're not doing it, what does that mean?
it's not right. I mean, it's unfortunate if that makes a difference in who advances. And there's no justification for doing it. And then they say TV time and TV availability, but look at the numbers that the viewership and the numbers that are happening in softball. Like softball go head to head with the NBA playoffs, and it'll go head to head with the NHL playoffs, and our numbers will be equal or better. And the advertising dollars and the people, softball has its own, we have our own fan base. We attract a different fan to our sport, and with that comes the advertising dollars, et cetera, et cetera. And we can find another 2.5 hours somewhere, even if we're streaming it. You know, we were streaming on ESPN3, and the coverage was phenomenal, and the viewership numbers are awesome. And let's do another day. And in baseball, I said, well, you never know. Most games end in 2, and we hate to have that time block available and then not use it. And well, now here lately, a lot of these regionals, because again, the parity, you can understand in the past not doing it, because you'd have to block off 8 different time slots. But now more and more games are going to our game 3. And go home, take a break, take a nap, go to sleep, You know, gear it up again, sell some more tickets, and let's go at it again. I think it's coming. I think either 15 or 16 for sure that you're going to see the end of the doubleheader. Let's not do the doubleheader this weekend. Let's just do it in 2. That make you happy, Kevin?
Be happier for an earlier start, because we'll have to deal with baseball.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Coach.
Thank you, Michael.